Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today we're going to exploring something I think you'll find fascinating. We're going to be talking about the history and development of Afro-Cuban music.
Yeah, it's way more than just catchy rhythms, you know?
Right. There's so much history there.
Yeah.
We've got an excerpt from this text that goes deep into its origins.
And trust me, you're going to be amazed at how this music basically tells the story of cultural resilience and fusion, like against all odds.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable. I guess to really kick things off, we got to think about like what was happening in the 16th century. We're talking about the peak of the transatlantic slave trade. And European powers, they had their preferences for slaves from specific regions in Africa.
Absolutely. The Spanish, they were particularly interested in the Yorubas.
The Yorubas. So why the Yorubas specifically? What was so special about them?
Well, they were known for being amazing farmers. And with the sugar industry booming in Cuba, that skill was like pure gold.
So it's like an economic thing.
Yeah.
But then that had a ripple effect, right? Like
A
culturally.
huge ripple effect.
Right.
It basically meant that you had this concentration of Yoruba culture in Cuba, and that became like the bedrock, the foundation for Afro-Cuban music. It's kind of like even in the darkest times, culture finds a way.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, you've got indigenous Cubans, African slaves, Spanish colonizers, all in one place, influencing each other.
Talk about a melting pot. You know, the Cuban scholar Fernando Ortiz, he actually described this whole thing so beautifully. He said that Cuba's history was like a mix of white, sugar, and guitar, black, tobacco, and drum. Today, mestizos, coffee with milk, and bongo. Isn't that great?
It's poetic, right? It's like he took
Yeah.
these everyday things and made this complex history so vivid. But I have to ask, was this fusion always, harmonious? Or were there tensions? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't an equal playing field, right?
You're hitting the nail on the head there. It's easy to get caught up in the beauty of this fusion, but we can't forget the context, right? Oppression, exploitation, the power dynamics were completely skewed.
Totally. And it's interesting because, the Spanish had this thing called the Código Negro, this set of laws about slavery. And get this, they actually encouraged music and dance among the slaves. That seems a little counterintuitive, don't you think?
It does seem weird, right? But think about it from their perspective. They figured if they let slaves have their music and dance, they'd be more productive, maybe even happier.
So like a means of control.
Exactly. But what they didn't realize was that they were actually creating a space for African traditions to survive. And not just survive, but thrive. It's like this unintentional gift, this opportunity.
It's like they underestimated the power of music.
Totally.
So these gatherings they had, these cabildos, those weren't just about music, were they?
Oh, no, no, no. Cabildos were like lifelines. They were mutual aid societies, a place to keep their traditions alive, their religious practices, their culture, all in a system that was trying to erase it all.
Can you give us an example? Like, was there a specific musical tradition that found a home in the cabildos?
Oh, absolutely. The rumba, for one,
Yeah.
it's got those deep African rhythms and movements in the cabildos. They were like the perfect incubator for the rumba to grow and evolve, eventually becoming a huge part of Cuban identity. I mean, what a story, right? Born from struggle, but then becoming a symbol of a nation.
Wow, that's powerful. It makes you think about like the power of art to transcend circumstances. So when we talk about Afro-Cuban music, I always think of drumming. It's kind of at the heart of it all, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And it's deeply tied to these three main Afro-Cuban religions, Avakua, Santeria, and Bantu religions.
Wow, so there's a real spiritual element to this music as well.
Absolutely. For example, take Santeria. I've always been fascinated by how it combines Yoruba beliefs with Catholicism.
Yeah, I've heard they even associate their deities with Catholic saints, right?
Exactly. It's called syncretism. It's like this cultural shield they created. They had to convert to Catholicism, but they found a way to keep their own traditions alive by sort of camouflaging them. They'd be drumming and singing in honor of a Catholic saint, but they were actually paying homage to their own Yoruba deities. Pretty clever, right?
So smart. And the music itself, does it reflect that?
Oh, absolutely. You hear those complex rhythms, those call and response patterns, the improvisation, all those are staples in Yoruba music. But then there's a Spanish touch too, especially in the melody.
It's amazing how music can be a chronicle of history, religion, and identity all at once.
Right. And I think what's particularly striking about Afro-Cuban music is that it's a testament to resilience. African traditions were actively suppressed, but they found a way to not only survive, but flourish in a new environment. That's powerful.
It's incredibly inspiring. So to wrap things up, I just want to say that Afro-Cuban music is more than just a genre. It's a living testament to the enduring power of culture and the human spirit.
I couldn't agree more. And now, when you hear Afro-Cuban music, I hope you'll hear it with new ears. Listen for the echoes of history, the heartbeat of multiple cultures, that spirit of defiance and creativity woven into the rhythms. It's truly remarkable.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See ya!